Good morning and welcome back to the Only Fabs channel. So, we have some heavy 100 box section here. These two bits have been cut to length at 3.3 metres. That's obviously the offcut from a 7.5 metre length. And then we have the other offcut in the saw which we're chopping across member. Because today we're on making a 5,000 litre water bowser. We're putting a plastic tank on it, so we are purely making a frame on braked wheels, or braked axles should I say, so it will be braked on 5,000 litres of water and obviously be side towable. So the frame's going to be made of 100 6mm box. Then we have some 150 box there, which is going to be the drawbar. And we have a bit of plate that's going to be on the front to putting the engine on, to obviously pump the water from there out to the back as a dust suppression unit. So we've got plenty of dust suppression units already, but they're all like 2,000 litres. We had a customer wanting one that's bigger, so as always failure is never an option. So customer wants a bigger one, we'll make a bigger one. So that's what we're on with today. The saw's obviously nice and slow to get a true cut. What I'll do is once I get cut and sorted out a bit, I'll set you up while we set the frame up and square it up on the floor. Then we'll get the frame made. All the stub axles and everything haven't turned up yet, but we'll be here today. So as we get moving on with the project, hopefully all the bits will turn up and it'll all just fit together nicely. And if this one's a roaring success, then there will be some more to make, I would think. So as you can see behind me, we have the frame. It's 3.3 metres long and 16-20 wide. The second cross member in is 2.5 metres from the back to there, and then when the other cross member goes in the middle of the 2.5, which will make it the middle of the tank, because the tank is 2.5 metres long and sits on the back cross member. This cross member that we have in here and the one that goes in the middle, and this is to support the drawbar at the front and the engine that pumps the water obviously out of the tank to make the spray suppression. So we'll have one more cross member in for the middle of the tank, then the axle will be 100mm further back than the middle cross member, so that the water is more drawbar heavy than it is rear heavy, so it'll always have weight on the jockey wheel. Well, that's the theory anyway. Obviously if you're pointing uphill, downhill, it obviously varies, but on level ground there'll be more weight on the front than there will on the back, providing the wheels are behind the centre of the tank, which is obviously 1250 from the back. So we'll situate the axle 1150 from the back to the centre of it, therefore all the weight of the tank, half the weight plus a little bit will be to the front, plus all the weight of the engine and such like. I'll keep it nose heavy. But then at the same time it won't be too heavy on the jockey wheel either. If we'd had the axle too far back, we'd have had more weight on the jockey wheel and the drawbar, which we obviously don't want either. We're having some lifting eyes made to go on it for transportation purposes. Obviously to lift it on and off at sites with our hire wagon, or if anybody else wants to move it. So you'll just be able to use a set of 4-hook chains, pick it up, put it on the back or whatever, and in the same instance to take it wherever. So they're being cut at our laser cutters, SM Thompsons we use just over the way where we are at Middlesbrough. Brilliant bunch to deal with, and I don't think they're badly priced either. So yeah. So the tank's turned up, look, and luckily I'd only tapped the middle cross member in because we're going to have to move it and put an extra one in. So I've untapped, like not the one at the back but the next one, and I've moved it forward roughly 250 mil, and then we'll put another one in. So the tank's actually going to sit forward a little bit, so it sits perfectly on this second cross member. And then on the next one, and the one that isn't in yet, and then they'll be a bit stuck out the back, so it'll be completely protected while it's on site, which I think is fantastic, because I know what these sites are like, good at trashing things. So there we go, look, we're all tacked up now. We've got the drawbar on. It's 2 metres and 50 in over, and it's 1250 out over because it's 3.3 metres long. And that means if they're towing it with such as a 9-ton dumper, which is quite common on sites, we often hire out some of the big 5,000 litre barrels we have with a 9-ton dumper purely for that. It means that they can turn it in full lock without catching the front of the chassis on the back of the dumper or the tyres, because you really cannot be too careful trying to stop idiots breaking things. So I've already welded the underside. Phone rang, so I turned the camera off and then I got a bit carried away. So we've missed that step, unfortunately. But yeah, so I've welded the underside a bit. I've picked it up with the forklift. So I'm going to weld on what's above now. And then I'll turn it over the other way and weld on what's above. And then I'll turn it the right way up and weld all the tops. Unfortunately, we haven't got any stub axles or anything yet, so we're sort of limited on what we can actually finish until these bits come across. As you can see, the end of the drawbar there sticks out beyond that cross member. Now the axle will go directly to the back of that, so the axle will weld to the back of the drawbar, so the drawbar and the axle are connected just purely for strength. But again, until we have an axle, we can't weld it to it. So, and it's actually coming in we're getting a bit of box section to fit the stubs. So I'll slide the stub axles essentially into the bit of box section, weld round, and then they are brake stub axles. So we've got some rams coming as well for the brakes, and a ratchet handbrake which we'll put on a cable. And yeah, we'll just try and make it as nice and as tiny as we can, won't we? So yeah, I'll get a bit more welding done. So that's it, look, we're in the correct way up now, as you can see, and that's how it's going to be, look. So again, you can probably see clearer now. This is where the centre of the tank goes on this cross member, and the axle's going to go directly behind that drawbar there. So that means the that it is like 200 mil to the centre of the axle from the centre of the tank, so that just means obviously 5 ton of water, and there's a little bit more of it to the front than there is to the back to keep that drawbar pushing down rather than lifting up. So obviously if it was the other way around, you would pull it off your machine or whatever and drive forward and it would come up, and you don't want that. So yeah, so that's how we're doing that. That's going to be our jack leg there to go on the front of it, and we've got this turnable towing eye to go on the drawbar as well, in case whatsoever they do turn it over. There's no chance of them turning the dumper over, because if it's full, the tank will weigh more than the dumper if the dumper isn't. So if they're towing it with something that is less than 5 ton, it doesn't have one of them turnable drawbars on, and for whatever reason they turn it over, it doesn't take everything else with it, which would be an absolute disaster. Again, we've got a rough idea what they're like on these sites now, so we try and plan for every eventuality and for every man that's left his brain at home. So unfortunately there's quite a few of them that do. Yeah, but you get used to working with Mongs. So we're back to our Bowser tank, and what I'm doing here is I'm cutting a bit of box section 110mm long, out of the same stuff that we cut the drawbar out of. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an X around the tube for our drawbar pivot and weld it into the centre of there, and then I'll make a plate with a hole in for the drawbar that spins in it, and it'll go all the way down past this bit of box section and through the bottom of the actual drawbar as well. So that's 150 box, so it'll be 300 long and 150 wide with a circle in for where the ring goes through. So that's what we're on with at the moment. So we've got the bit of box section that I've just cut for the top of the drawbar. Here our swivelly hitch. I've knocked the roll pin out of the nut so I can undo the nut. Wasn't actually that tight, but it catches on where roll pin's been. So that's that bit. And then my bit of tube. So now what I'm going to do is I want that bit of tube mounted in the middle of there. So I'm essentially going to put 4 bits in to hold it in the centre, and then I'm going to cap it off with a cap, obviously just with a hole in. The bit that goes at the back where the drawbar comes through will just obviously be this square. The bit at the front will be double the length, so it goes down past the drawbar as well, because as you can imagine it's offset. So this piece of box sits on top of the length of the drawbar, obviously bringing the height of the toe hitch up a little bit, or the height of the drawbar down a bit, in order to keep the water either level or tipped slightly forward so the weight's on the drawbar rather than on the back. Sounds more technical than it is. Here, show you. So I'll move this bit out of the way so it doesn't get all spatter. So I reckon that's 185, and that is 56, 57. So I reckon we need 55mm slices to go in there to hold that smack bang in the centre. So what I'll do now is I'll find something, because that's 110mm, so there need to be 110mm by 55mm to do what I need them to do. So I'm going to go and cut some bits now, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how it's going to go back together. So I've got 4 bits cut. And the idea is I've put them in and I've fucked it right up because they're fucking nowhere close. Because I've put about 55mm and they're too fucking short. Because I have a good 15mm there, so what's that, another 7mm, that's 62mm, not 55mm. That's a fuck up, isn't it? What a useless wanker. 62mm then. So I've cut some bits 62mm long. And they seem to fit in there, just tickety boo. So what I'll do is I'll get them tacked and I'll show you how it looks. So that bit's now all welded up and right. So I just hope it hasn't shrunk too much when I've welded it, and that this bit still fits in. So once that's mounted on top of the drawbar, that obviously still spins from when they try and turn it over, because they will. So now that we've got that bit done, the next bit's to cut a plate to the back so that I can seam it all the way around. Ideally, this being a 150mm box, I quite like to go inside to inside, so ideally I want something 140 by 140 with, I'm sure we said it was 50mm, with a 60mm hole in the middle is what I want. So I'll go and find a bit and cut a bit, and then we'll make the job right. So I've cut a piece 140 by 140, I've marked the centre, and now I'm going to take it up to the pillar drill and just drill through it with this 60mm cutter, or 57 it is, they always drill oversize. So that'll pop over there, and I'll do the same but longer for the other one. That'll go down over the drawbar, and then what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put a tapered bit over the back once it's all together, so that it tapers down nicely on the drawbar, and you won't be able to see the nut either. Not that it really matters that you can see the nut, but it'll just look a little bit stronger rather than just a little skinny bit of box up front of the drawbar, I think. So I've drilled my hole in here, and it was always going to be hard and sharp as to whether it would fit. So this is the moment of truth. It's looking fairly good. Myself right tangled up here. So this is obviously going to be the back of the so it's actually going to get another bit welded to it. Move this thing out the way. Don't think I can cope with spatter on it. It's more than my life's worth. Bit of a disaster today.